Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. We're here in San Jose in California in the United States at NFV World Congress 2017. And I'm talking with Shahar Steiff, who is AVP New Technology at PCCW Global. Shahar, good to see you again, and thanks for coming in to talk to us. It's cooler and darker in here than it is outside, so probably just as well. Let's begin like this. What do you think vendors have to do to convince CSPs that the transformation journey is worth the pain that's involved?
I don't think vendors need to do. I think CSPs understand the pain, but I also understand the need. The need to transform to automation and virtualization is needed in order to be able to address the current, or I would say the current and future customer requirements. Customers require more agile services, more on-demand services. Virtualization in general is a means, not the goal, but it is an important means. So I don't really think vendors need to convince us. We actually wait for the vendors to provide solutions that address the customer needs and our needs as well. Of course, it's a mix. So we need to basically take the vendors' solutions and turn them into customer consumable products and services. So I don't really think the burden here is on the vendors. It's probably more on the industry as a whole, on the whole ecosystem to evolve into something that can really be consumed by customers in the way they want to see the services being run.
Is that happening? Do you see that happening now?
I think we're moving towards there. The customers certainly want that to happen, and we as CSPs deliver at least partially on that goal, but there's still a long way to go. We're still lagging behind on many aspects, and we're already able to deliver virtualized services in environments that either are cloud-centric, where connectivity is not really an issue, or environments where everything is confined to one single domain, one single carrier's domain. We're still way behind when it comes to delivering service, real end-to-end service across geographies, across multiple CSPs, complex services that include both connectivity and nodal services such as computer storage. Those still lag behind. We're still not there, and it's not the vendors at fault. I think it's probably the industry as a whole, because we're not yet organized enough, and we haven't yet recognized, or not everyone has yet recognized the need for standards, for standardization, for that to happen. And we still have many, maybe too many approaches and attempts to deliver the right solution that's good for everyone, instead of trying to develop the method through which the various solutions can speak with each other and coordinate with each other and allow a real end-to-end solution to be operational. Because it's obvious that we're not going to have a unified world that all operates under one single operating system. It's going to be a hybrid world that is made of different technologies and different solutions and different orchestration solutions, and we need to find the glue that binds them together to an end-to-end automatic service. Because binding them to an end-to-end service manually is a thing we've been doing for years, but that does not address the customer's requirements in terms of timeline.
Good, thank you. Now, when we were talking off camera, before we started the interview, you amused me by saying we were talking about the usual buzzwords and buzz phrases we hear. Something changes every few months or every year, something else, and you call it the hype du jour, which I quite like. One of these hype du jour words, or a couple of them, it seems to me at the moment to be cloud native. What does that mean to you in terms of CSPs and the vendors?
Cloud native basically means things that happen in the cloud and remain in the cloud. And the problem is that for CSPs, unless a CSP can bring all of its operations into the cloud, CSPs do not live in a cloud. We live in reality, and we live in a geographically dispersed reality. We have a dispersed network that runs on thousands of miles. So we can't just bind everything to the cloud. We have to take into account things like latency, things like diversity. So cloud native applications are great as long as your consumption and production remains in the cloud. When your consumption and production travels geography, it can no longer be cloud native. So for us as CSPs, I think cloud native is something that I would say for us, all CSPs, or at least I think the majority of CSPs, not only international carriers like us, which really span geographies, but even domestic carriers which are still confined to one country, still sometimes cannot confine their services to a cloud, and they need to we need to reach the customer premises, right? We need to get to the customer premise, and we need to bring the capacity from there to that cloud, which after all is a data center of some sort somewhere. We need to try to bring the data center closer to the customer, and then we have to handle the intra data center or the inter data center connectivity. So cloud native is again, as I said, it's a hype du jour. It's a buzzword, and there are a few others currently out there in the market, and you know, it's part of the solution, but it isn't really a killer application that if we move everything to be cloud native, our problems are solved, because they're not. Geography remains in place.
Thank you. Well, while we're on hype du jours and buzzwords, and we're hearing a lot about network automation and zero touch. Again, what do you make of that, and is it a realistic end goal for CSP networks?
I think it certainly is. Eventually, we want the networks to react to applications, and we want the networks to be able to automatically provision bandwidth for an application that needs the bandwidth. Today we're delivering services manually, and when you deliver service manually, you're able to identify the gap between one carrier's language and the customer's language and another carrier's language, and you can translate one to the other. So, you know, in industry terms, these are called info models or data models. So if they do not match, you can manually adapt them to one another.
Sure.
In an automatic system, everything needs to be the same language. We have to develop a unified info model, unified data model, so when a customer requires a service to be delivered, it is correctly understood by the service provider, and if the service provider needs a partner to deliver it elsewhere, it is correctly understood by them as well, because, you know, otherwise we can have something that describes a green round object. One can look at that as a tennis ball, another one can look at that as an apple. And then if you're ordering that green thing and you were expecting to have an apple and you're trying to slice into a rubber ball, and it's not what you expected. So that's the kind of thing that for automation to happen, really need to get that thing standardized and to develop that language.
Okay, Shahar, Steiff, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.